half is now this whole block right here. Well, what's this? So north half,
And that's the
Southwest quarter.
southwest quarter,
Wait.
and
Oh, that's west, that's one east.
that got this piece, right? That's this one. This one's now described.
So you have southwest. South half
And the south,
and the north half.
there you go. There's my location map.
It helps with the southwest half.
What's that?
How did you get the southwest half?
Thank you, Gabe. I did. Operator error. Operator error. Okay, so let's read this thing. East half. So I've got a section. Now there will be a section number and start. Section 15. And there will be a township and range. That gets us to all this. Then I'm going to tell them, okay, we're going to deal with nothing but the east half of this. That's that first statement. Now, besides that, I'm going to break that up twice also. I'm going to use the north half, southwest quarter.
Isn't that southeast quarter?
No, I was saying southeast, but you guys are saying west. I kept on saying
We all
east.
started saying west.
Thank you, Dick, because I kept on saying east. I was like, why am I doing
Yeah,
that?
I was like, I think I'm doing some
Okay.
backwards here, I
So
don't
you
know.
looked at me like I was crazy.
East, north.
It says
I
east.
better draw myself something here to keep myself on instead of just listening.
Okay.
Okay. Use myself a little cheat sheet. Okay, so do we have this piece right now?
Yes. That means
Okay.
east half.
Then when you get the and sign again, tells them that piece is done. Okay, now they're still coming back since this is in front of that first and sign. So once I put this and sign, this now goes with this.
Oh, you put it below it like that?
Well, no, I ran out of room on my board. This is all one
Okay,
description.
we're still in eastern part. Okay, gotcha.
Okay. And the south half, okay, so that south half runs this block right here. Okay. And we are then the north half of that south half. Now that gives us, in essence, what that does is it defines this piece of property right here. We just erase all these other lines. So in essence, we've gone from the planet to a principal meridian baseline, to a township and range, which is 36 square miles, to a section, which is 1 square mile, or 640 acres, to how many acres here? Yeah, how many acres are we?
120.
Where do you say that?
Oh, no.
Do you add whole acres to those 3 sections?
Yeah, so what you're gonna do is add up the acres of these.
120 acres.
120, I think so.
Yeah, it says 40.
Yeah, quarter sections are,
40, okay.
okay? So back to your legal description. That's what this is all about, is getting us to where, how do we have a system that can actually define where people own on this huge sphere we call the earth and be repeatable? So, Township 9 South, Range 16 East, Boise Meridian. That gets us 36 square miles. Section 20, 1 square mile. Then we're going to locate it in the northeast quarter of the southeast quarter. How many acres are we now dealing with? Remember, you're 640 times it, divide it by 4 times 4 is 16. quick way to do it. Take 640 times it by 0.25 times it by 0.25.
320?
That's,
Well, so-
no, 640 is one section. Okay, then times it by 2/4, or times it by 0.25, and then whatever number you get, times that again by 0.25.
Oh, you can't just times it by 0.5?
No, because we're dealing with quarters. These are quarters. If it was a half, it'd be 0.5. I don't know, I don't have a calculator. Did you use calculator? I did.
That's what I got.
Okay. So we've gone down to 40 acres. That's pretty impressive to me. You've gone to this thing we call the planet, and in 2 sentences, you've gotten down to 40 acres. And you can know exactly where that is. That's pretty darn cool. I don't know what mind came up with this, but I applaud them for it. Now, at that point, then you start your traverse. This is the meets and bounds section from down here. Now this first part, commencing at the east 1/4 corner of section 20. Okay, that puts us on a corner. So we've got that section and we're now on a corner of it. They're going to take from the southeast corner of that, bear south, 0 degrees, 2,638 feet, or a little over a half mile. Then they're going to move south from there, so that's going to pull us from the section corner down along the line. So let me just kind of draw this. So we're on section, this is section 20, right? So here's 20. We're starting on, this would be east 1/4. Okay, so the east is this way, right? So make sure I'm doing that. Okay, so we're starting right here. Now they're then going to move 2,638.72 feet to a point on this section line. Then they're going to go basically due west, right, for a distance of 571 feet. Okay, where this is 571 feet. And then they always look for this line right here, to the true point of beginning. This is where your property starts. Okay. So I'll put a property marker right there. Okay. That's where the property actually starts. And then they're going to walk you around the property. Okay, so it does something like this, where I go 700 feet, and that's south. Then I'm going almost 400 feet this way, and then we go back north. For distance, we go a bunch of stuff. It ends up doing something like this. And then it'll keep doing that until it comes back to the true point of beginning.
What if those don't line up?
They won't line up. They almost never will line up. This one, you're going to find out how much it doesn't line up. This is going to be a quick assignment for you to draw this. Now, the reason they don't line up is twofold. I mentioned the other day that we have inaccuracies in survey. So this has all been based off of points out in the field or somebody designing it and then placing it in the field. They never line up. There are inaccuracies in survey equipment. Okay. So you're going to see errors in this stuff. All we do is kind of close them off. The errors should be very small. If they're over, I don't know, a foot, then we generally have a problem we have to rectify in court or something of that nature. Now, old surveys where we were pulling with chains and we had a compass turning angles, you can imagine how accurate that was. Okay. So I'm sitting here turning an angle on my compass and I don't know that there's an iron something underneath me. Does that thing work right? No. Okay, that's the old days. That survey we did the other day for our property that we used for architectural, that thing was down, that was what, 32nd off, or 64th? Now, I know that survey only happened about 20 years ago. So you can kind of see the accuracies that have come. This property right here is an old piece of property. This is an old homestead site. You're gonna see this has inaccuracies on it. But the survey for this was done, God only knows when. Back before Twin Falls was even out of place.
If you take all, I mean, if you have all the surveys that, like our legal survey, is there a lot of overlap of property?
There's some. There is some. Most people don't worry about it, but sometimes it does get to be a problem, and then it's rectified in court. And sometimes it's no fault from either part of the two parties. Some judges got to sit there and say, you know what, this is it. You know, that's how we've got some other laws too, like a fence that sits on a property line and has been there for 2 years is now considered a property line, regardless of where the property line actually sits. Now, you can, if you sell that property, then somebody can survey it and then justify that and get it rectified. But if you buy it, like if you buy a piece of land and you don't bother checking the property boundary and your neighbor put the fence 5 feet on your side, if you don't challenge that within 2 years, that is the property line. And that's on the Idaho statute books. Okay, so there's little laws like that. Yes, Lisa. go
But
ahead.
anytime, is an ongoing job, are surveyors out there updating any of these? I mean, is that, like a county survey say, okay, I want you to take this section next year and fix it, and rectify
No.
it? Do they do that, or it's
No.
done? Once it's
No.
done, it's done?
You have to be a licensed surveyor to stake property for a court of law.
But no one's
But-
ever gonna update
But,
this?
no, this will never be updated. Now, with the only, I shouldn't say that because it will be updated if somebody was to take this piece of land and subdivide it.
Okay,
Because now we're creating new property inside of that boundary,
but it's still original boundary?
right?
Okay.
Okay. Yes. And yeah, I don't want to, that's the legal ramifications of this. I tell you the truth, I don't even want to go there. There's a reason I went the construction route versus the lawyer route. That has no appeal to me whatsoever. Tell me where I can build and I'll build it. Yes, sir.
When our subdivision was originally built, all of the lots were circles. And then they bought some more land to add to it and then redid everybody at normal ways, so it wasn't a circle. And I've always thought that was odd.
There are a lot of subdivision, and then they called the places in between the circles, they called them common ground, right?
Mhm.
And you got to use it, but you didn't own it.
Oh,
Yeah, that's pretty
interesting.
common in subdivisions.
Really?
It's a good, well, people do it to kind of create open spaces where you can't build anything. You don't own it, the subdivision owns it. All right, so when you're doing these and you're setting it up in CAD, what do we do on CAD to draw a property boundary? Does anybody remember how we changed something right at the start?
In our unit.
We change our units. Okay? So if you need to draw one of these, and remember, this is a property line. What is a property line for us? It is a line that resembles a phantom. It has a line weight equal to 0.031 inches. And then along the edge of the property, we relate the distances. So if I was drawing, let's say this one, I would label this as 180.77 feet, and then I would put my angle north 62 degrees, 51 seconds, 17 or minutes, seconds, and which way am I going from there? East. And then I just lay that right along the side of it. Now, if I got a very small segment, I can use a multi-liter with that information. You did see on our subdivision where they made a schedule for like line 1 and they labeled it line 1 and you went to a chart that then told you what those were. I have an assignment for you today. I would like you to draw this piece of property. Only draw the property itself. Print it on an A sheet label all the sides appropriately. So you're gonna have to figure a scale. I'll tell you, this around a 5 to 6 acre piece of property. Try and maximize the scale, so it's pretty big for an A sheet. Okay, so and then label your sides as well as you can. In addition to that, I want to do a couple more things this morning, so let's take a break. Let's stop there for a second and take a break.